Richard Hale had $47 million in the bank, a tech empire under his command, and absolutely no idea how to stop his 9-year-old daughter's screams from tearing through the first-class cabin at 30,000 feet. The well-dressed passengers had pulled out their phones' lenses, glittering like eyes of judgment, while Emma Hale curled up her small hands pressed tightly against her ears, shoulders trembling with every blare of the safety announcement. 3 rows back beyond the curtain in economy, Malik Johnson, 12 years old, with a worn-out backpack and a toy car missing a wheel, stood frozen, watching the unraveling scene. Before we continue, let me know where you're watching from. And if you believe stories of humanity like this deserve to be shared, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss what's coming next. Thank you for being here with us. Morning light at LaGuardia spilled through the window of gate B7. Richard adjusted his Italian tie, the sharp cuts of his tailored suit as precise as lines on a profit chart. Yet that sheen carried cracks. The platinum wedding band of someone long gone still clung to his finger, and his sleepless eyes betrayed a father who had yet to learn the language of a child on the autism spectrum. Emma wore a soft-knit dress that felt like barbed wire to her sensitive skin. Every few steps she tapped her heel lightly, a rhythm of self-soothing. Richard pretended not to notice. At the far end of economy stood Malik, a boy from the Bronx. His mother, Diana, lay in a hospital bed battling late-stage lung cancer. He was flying to Chicago to live with his Aunt Sheila. His backpack carried only spare clothes, a sketchbook, and a few old toy cars. One of them, its axle bent, rolled off course, but it still rolled. When an announcement called for seat changes due to a fault in the rear rows, Malik was unexpectedly moved up to premium economy, seat 7C, where he could peek through the curtain into first class. The safety briefing began, the volume turned up so everyone could hear. To Emma, it was like sound poured straight into her skull. She shrank down, her whimpers drowned by the loudspeaker. In the event of a water landing. Richard fumbled for noise-canceling headphones, trying to clamp them over her head. Emma's hands flew up instinctively, knocking them onto the carpet. A few irritated stares hardened. "You need to calm down." Everyone's watching, Richard hissed. The wrong words. Shame ignited in both father and daughter like a spark in dry tinder. The plane taxied, engines roaring, aisle lights flickering. Emma burst into sobs, her cries stretching into wails. She slapped her thighs in a frantic rhythm, fighting to regain control. The man in front spun around, his expensive watch flashing. "I paid $4,000 for this seat," he snapped. Flight attendant Patricia knelt, offering water or crackers. Richard shook his head, sweat beading. Another attendant whispered from the emergency kit. "We have a mild sedative," Richard jolted. "No, she's reacted before." Someone muttered behind him. "Tie her hands for safety." The word tie crushed Richard's chest. Absolutely not. The seatbelt light was still on. Emma repeated the same phrase over and over. Too loud, too loud, too loud. Richard's face flushed, his CEO aura collapsing into helplessness. From seat 7C, Malik straightened. He recognized the sign, sensory overload, glaring lights, the self-slapping for regulation. He remembered his cousin Marcus on the spectrum. He remembered Aunt Sheila's advice, don't force, don't touch. Suddenly, crouch low, speak softly, and give the child a rhythm they can predict. As the plane lifted off, the cabin shook. Emma's screams ripped the air like torn fabric. A woman muttered, "This will be a long flight." Another voice snapped, "Take her off the plane." A storm of judgment brewed, every raised phone a dart. And then Malik stood backpack in hand and slipped through the curtain. He didn't know if rules allowed it. He only knew no one else was speaking the language Emma needed. He crouched, pausing in Emma's peripheral vision, neither touching nor calling out. He set his backpack down, unzipping slowly, deliberately, so as not to startle her, and pulled out the red toy car with the broken wheel. A gentle push. The car rolled in a crooked arc across Emma's folded tray table, a motion she could follow, a pattern she could predict. She didn't stop crying, but her eyes locked onto the path it traced. Malik whispered, his voice like a soft draft of air. "It's okay. Yeah, it's loud. But I'm here." In the seat beside her, Richard held his breath. A boy, in a faded t-shirt and worn-out sneakers, was doing what his money and experts had never achieved, pulling his daughter back from the edge. Patricia and the other attendants froze mid-step. A few phones lowered. The red car reached the tray's edge. Malik nudged it back, creating a steady back-and-forth rhythm. Emma's shrieks fractured into hiccuping sobs. Her chest rose and fell more slowly. Richard felt his own heartbeat shift to match hers. Malik never touched Emma. He spoke so softly, only those nearby could hear. "I know loud hurts. I'm not here to fix you. I'm just here to sit beside you." He nudged the car again. Its crooked arc turned into a game of predictability. Emma's hand, once slapping her thigh, slid down to the edge of the tray, and hesitant tapped the tail of the car. Malik instantly pulled his own hand back, giving control away. "You drive, I'll watch." For the first time since leaving gate B7, Emma's lips twitched a smile as thin as thread. "Car's broken," she whispered. "Broken, but still moving," Malik replied. "A wheel can break and still roll, just in a different way." Richard sat frozen. The word empower had never lived in his dictionary of fatherhood. For years he had managed his daughter like a company procedures tools experts. But here, a poor boy was using rhythm and respect to open a door Richard hadn't even known existed. The beverage cart rattled closer and Emma flinched. Malik shifted sideways, shielding her from the sudden sensory spike like a small shield. "Want to see the car keep rolling while they pass by?" he suggested. Emma gave the faintest nod. When a cup of apple juice appeared, Richard moved to refuse. "She doesn't." Malik cut in with a choice framed for Emma. "What color's apple juice?" "Yellow. Soft yellow, not bright." "I think that's okay. Just by asking and describing sensation," Malik turned a command into ownership. Emma reached for the cup herself. The cabin noise still surged. Emma began humming a steady drone, not a melody, but a self-regulating tone. Malik hummed with her just low enough to echo without overpowering. Emma's eyes widened for the first time. Someone wasn't telling her to stop, wasn't ordering her to be quiet, but was joining in. Moments later, Emma switched to tapping 7 fast, 3 slow. Malik studied it, then added a counter rhythm on his knees, not identical, but complementing like 2 instruments in dialogue. Emma giggled. Her laughter tilted the air in the cabin like a sudden turn in flight. Richard swallowed hard. He wanted to join but feared shattering the fragile bridge forming. Can Dad join?" He asked, words like bare feet on ice. Emma looked at him wary from too many past corrections. Malik smiled encouragement. "Show him your rhythm, Emma. He can be the drum." Slowly, Emma clasped her father's hand, guiding each beat 7 fast, 3 slow. It was the first voluntary touch in weeks. Richard felt his eyes burn. The cabin's mood shifted. The woman who had shaken her head now whispered, "I'm sorry," through tears. The man with the expensive watch bowed his head. Patricia, the flight attendant, lowered her voice and stepped back, conceding that Malik's gentle approach worked better than any protocol. Richard whispered, How do you know all this?" Marcus Malik said. "My cousin. He's 7. Aunt Sheila taught me, don't pull him into your world, step into his first." The plane jolted with turbulence. Emma gripped Malik's hand. He reframed instantly. It's just a superhero plane stretching its muscles. Emma blinked. Planes don't have muscles. Sure, they do the muscles that hold the wings. Malik flexed his arm in an exaggerated pose, making Emma burst into laughter. The bumps passed without detonating the sensory grenade. As the whisper, "That's a miracle," rippled through the rows, Richard realized the miracle wasn't no more autism. The miracle was someone being seen the right way. Emma wasn't fixed. Emma was understood. And the one who taught him that lesson was a boy with a broken toy car. The cabin's atmosphere softened like air after a storm. Emma kept rolling the toy car back and forth, sometimes humming a thin strand of sound, and Malik echoed just enough to match. A woman across the aisle set her magazine down and bowed her head. I judged. "I'm sorry." The loud passenger from earlier turned back, voice rough. "My brother in the 60s, he was different too. Our parents put him in an institution. I haven't visited in 40 years. I was wrong." Malik spoke gently, like laying a hand on a bruise. "It's never too late to visit." Richard's chest tightened. He looked at Emma, the child who had just given him the chance to start over. She turned to him, honest as only a child could be, Dad yells, but Dad's sad because Mom went to the sky. The whole cabin fell silent. Malik lowered his head. "My mom's sick too. I'm flying to my aunt's because she can't take care of me anymore." Patricia and several passengers went quiet. A silver-haired man in a sharp suit introduced himself. "I'm Daniel Brennan from Brennan and Fitzgerald. You said your mom's building had asbestos. That could be criminal negligence. I'll take your family's case pro bono. We can't afford a lawyer." Malik faltered. "No fee." Brennan pressed. "Because it's right." From a row back, another man extended a card. "I'm Tom Reed. I run a restaurant chain. If your aunt needs work, full benefits, have her call me." Cards passed from hand to hand like paper bridges over divides of class. Emma looked up sharp in the way only an ND child could be. "Don't talk about him like he's begging. Malik is good." For the first time, she defended someone else, and the air seemed to warm a degree. The announcement, "Prepare for descent," came. Emma squeezed Malik's hand. "Don't go." Malik said what children hate to hear. "I have to be with my aunt, but you don't disappear just because we're apart." Richard offered, "Let me have Aunt Sheila's number, FaceTime letters, pictures, whatever you like." Emma pouted. "My writing's ugly." Malik smiled. "Your writing is yours. That makes it right." As they landed in Chicago, passengers' eyes had changed. They no longer saw a disruptive girl, but a brave child who had weathered a sensory storm with her friend. At the gate, Aunt Sheila appeared with a glittered sign reading, "Malik. My boy," she cried, hugging him with relief and love. Malik introduced, "This is Emma and her dad, Richard. My friends." Sheila glanced at Richard's suit, the first-class tag shining on his luggage, then at Emma, clutching the broken car like a talisman. "Thank you for taking care of my boy," she said instinctively. Richard shook his head. "No. Your boy saved us." Emma chimed in. "We're friends. Friends help each other." That simple conclusion reframed every gesture afterward, not charity, but equal connection. For the first time in years, Richard chose to step back from money. He didn't pull out a checkbook. He opened his contacts oncologists, sensory therapists, partner hospitals. "If you agree," he told Sheila, stressing the word agree, "I'll make some calls ahead." Sheila hesitated, torn between pride and real need. Emma closed the matter like a fair referee. "It's not charity, it's what friends do." Malik nodded, eyes brimming. At the gate, Emma clung to Malik's hand. He promised to call that night. Passengers passing by smiled. A fleeting community had formed on that short flight, and it left a mark. 20 minutes later, the first lounge TV flickered with a shaky leaked clip from the cabin. Malik rolling the broken car, Emma calming Richard, staring like he had just witnessed magic. 2 million views in 1 hour, the anchor said. Richard's stomach sank. He hated being seen at his weakest, but on that screen he also caught his own expression, awe at seeing his child truly understood. Emma squealed, "There's Malik." The airport speakers suddenly blared, all flights frozen due to storm. Delay 3 to 4 hours. For Emma, it was like physics reversed. Planes have to fly, that's the rule. She slid into overload, hands clamped to ears, rocking hard. Richard dropped to his knees, not caring about his suit. He swayed with her rhythm, voice low. "You're right, planes usually fly. But when rules change, we make a new rule. When planes don't fly, we call a friend." He powered on his phone, skipping a mountain of emails, and pressed Sheila's number. "Hello, Malik." Emma yelped softly with relief. Malik steadied her. "Yeah, it's hard, I know. But sometimes for something better we're stuck a little while." Just then, at the lounge entrance, a family carried in a little boy in meltdown, Jamie mirroring Emma's earlier struggle. Emma watched, whispering, "He's like me." Richard nodded. "He's scared." Emma stood carrying the broken-wheeled car herself and sat on the floor at his level. She didn't touch, didn't command, just rolled the car exactly as Malik had done for her. "Waiting is also a kind of going," Emma told Jamie. "Waiting means the plane is moving slow." Jamie's sobs hiccuped his eyes, tracking the crooked arc of the wheel. "That's a superhero car," Emma added, and the whole lounge exhaled. For the storm's long hour, Emma became a bridge between two families. She shared her 7/3 rhythm, taught Jamie to tap, along with outforcing sync-told stories of the superhero plane. Richard, for the first time, spoke honestly with Jamie's parents, not with business cards, not with KPIs about losing Sarah, the fear of fatherhood, and the need to start over. The lounge turned into a small neighborhood. Strangers shared food-lifted bags, translated words for each other. A new announcement: flights canceled until morning. Children cried when lights flickered out. Emma climbed onto a chair. Richard's reflex was to pull her down, but he stopped himself, letting her be. "The lights are playing," Emma said loud enough for all. "They blink like we blink. Nothing scary." Parents repeated it to their kids. Outside, the storm roared. Inside, tension dissolved like foam. FaceTime rang. Malik's face filled the screen. Aunt Sheila and Marcus behind him. "Where's the superplane?" Malik teased. Emma spread out a drawing, her smiling beside the plane Malik had sketched mid-flight. Marcus clapped, shouting. "Plane," Emma replied, solemn, "superplane." After the call, Richard's phone buzzed with a message from Dr. Jennifer Patterson, oncologist at MD Anderson, pro bono support for Diana's treatment. Minutes later, Tom Reed's email offered Sheila a job with full benefits. Daniel Brennan wrote, "Case filed." The ripples from that broken toy car traveled farther than they had ever imagined. That night in the airport hotel, father and daughter finally had a real conversation. Emma reciting the names of 73 locomotives. Richard listening, no corrections, no redefinitions. He had never known the universe of trains inside his daughter was so vast. The next morning, the sky was scrubbed clean. The connecting flight was smooth. Emma still covered her ears during announcements, but she didn't panic. Richard didn't manage her. He accompanied her when she tapped a rhythm. He tapped too. When she needed space, he stepped back. At LAX, reporters swarmed. His old instinct was to dodge, but his daughter's small hand held tight. "They want to know about Malik," Emma said. Richard stopped, spoke with no PR team. "Compassion doesn't require wealth." "My daughter doesn't need to be fixed to fit a mold. I need to change myself to meet her where she is. Asked for advice to parents, he answered, "Listen, children are always signaling. We have to learn their language." And Malik forever friend Emma replied, brief and blazing. That weekend afternoon, instead of heading straight home, Richard told the driver to turn toward headquarters. He brought Emma into the boardroom, the place where he had won countless negotiations, and this time signed a different decision. Delegate operations, stay strategic and give my time to Emma. Non-negotiable. Emma spun the chairman's chair, laughing. So more train time. Yes, Richard said, and more 7-3 tapping. The phone lit up with a FaceTime call. Malik. Dr. Patterson called, he said, eyes wet but smiling. Houston, next week. In the frame, Diana was thinner, but her eyes were warm. Thank you for seeing my son. Richard answered, Your boy saved us, and my daughter is learning from him. That night, back home, Emma hung her superhero plane, drawing beside her bed. Richard took down the fortune cover of himself alone from his office wall and replaced it with a screenshot of Emma, Malik, Richard holding hands. He opened his notes and wrote, A broken wheel still rolls, just differently. You don't vanish when apart. Meet your child where they are. Difference is not less. Small gestures create big change. Children remember what adults forget. Pride is the enemy of connection. Vulnerability isn't weakness. True wealth is measured in relationships. It's never too late to learn. The next morning, the File Malik Johnson Foundation for Neurodivergent Youth was created. Richard seeded the funds, but the vision was for Malik when old enough to guide programs led by the ND community itself, co-regulation training for airline staff, sensory-friendly lounges, vocational scholarships for ND teens, and peer-to-peer hotlines. So another Emma, another Jamie wouldn't have to wait for a miracle to be understood. That night before bed, Emma asked, Is Mom proud? Richard drew a long breath. She would be so proud of you. And proud that I'm learning. Emma pulled up the blanket. Malik taught me the most important thing. What's that? A broken wheel still rolls. She paused, then corrected in her exact way, Not perfect, just Emma. And that's enough. Richard kissed her forehead, feeling grief and hope coexist. On his desk, the red, broken car rested a seal on a new covenant between grown-ups and children who speak in different languages. If we're willing to listen, we will understand. And so, the story didn't end in first class. It began there to travel far on the crooked but steady path of a broken wheel. And that's how a toy car with a broken wheel changed. An entire flight reshaped a father and forged an unlikely friendship between two children who seemed to have nothing in common. From the chaos of the beginning, it became a lesson. Difference is not a flaw, but another way of being that deserves to be understood. So, what about you? If you had been a passenger on that flight, how would you have reacted, with judgment or with empathy? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your answer. Don't forget to like, share this video to spread its message of humanity, and subscribe with the notification bell so you don't miss the next inspiring story.